The movie began with the voice of a man, telling a nursery rhyme to his little daughter that the trolls rose from the depths of the mountains. They were made of earth and stone with a snow-clad heart and icy bones. In the beginning, the trolls and humans lived together in peaceful and respectful harmony, until a new world order emerged in Europe. In Norway, a king named Saint Olaf the Holy was tasked with Christianizing the country. The new faith had no room for the trolls. From the safety of their dark forests, Olaf drove the trolls out into the sunlight where they were turned to stone. As the massacre progressed, the trolls grew wary of the sanctity of Christianity, and soon the age of trolls was over. Olaf showed no mercy, eradicating the trolls from Earth once and for all. Soon the narration ended, and we learned that Mr. Tobias Tideman was telling Nora, his daughter, a story about the massacre of trolls. After that, Nora's mother sang her a song to put her to sleep. 30 years later in Steinbudelen in Norway, a man covered in a thick jacket pulled open the door and got inside. He began to look around, but just then he was ambushed by Nora from behind. Nora, who had grown up now, nearly killed the intruder if the man had not revealed himself as Andreas Isaacson in time. Andreas was once one of Nora's close friends. Nora asked him why he came over there. Then Andreas told her that he had been facing a problem that forced him to approach her. On the table, Andreas found a book written by him and became happy, but Nora told her that she had not had the time to read his book. Andreas revealed to Nora that he had something to show her. Nora quickly figured out that Andreas was talking about a troll. So, she got on a helicopter with him and flew to a secret facility in the snowy mountains in Vimork Power Station, where a troll was kept hidden from the outer world. Professor Mahler and Professor Wangel welcomed Nora and took her inside the facility.
Professor, it's a great regret of mine that we started on... Yeah, but over time, some secrets come what happened in Vimork during World War II.
For what the mission was really about.
Inside, they showed her a giant inactive troll who was awaiting to wake up. Nora was stunned by the scene she witnessed inside the facility.
In Jotun, after the primeval trolls...
Andreas told Nora that those who found this troll named him Jotun after the primeval troll from mythology. Professor Wangel said to Nora, "We have installed powerful UV lights directly pointed at the hibernating troll to turn it to stone if he wakes up." Meanwhile, Professor Radani, the project leader, arrived and met Nora. Professor Radani seemed frustrated with Andreas for involving Nora in the project. Then Andreas told her that the government would stop funding the project if they didn't show any progress. However, Nora couldn't understand the conversation as they were talking in Farsi. Professor Mahler said to Nora, ever since Jotun was discovered, he had been in hibernation. The only sign of life is a pulse, and some kind of heart is hidden inside there. Andreas took Nora upstairs where Nora met Andreas's wife Siggy, who was expecting a baby.
Siggy! Now, it became this itty-bitty creature in here.
Congratulations.
Andreas then showed Nora the half part of Olaf the Holy's troll law. Siggy told Nora that the law's carbon date was around 1030, the year before Olaf fell in the Battle of Stiklestad. Nora read the law and found that Olaf wanted to expel the trolls from his land. Andreas told Nora that they needed her a lot for the success of the project, or the project Jotun would be shut down. Nora seemed ambivalent and asked Andreas to show her the way to the restroom. Under the pretense of using the restroom, Nora headed upstairs to examine Jotun. She nervously approached the titanic troll and put her hand on him. She began communicating with Jotun, revealing that she had learned how to communicate with the trolls after conducting an in-depth study of them. The UV lights operator spotted an activity in the hibernating troll. Nora started leaving, not knowing that she had unknowingly awakened Jotun. Jotun found himself in chains and became enraged. Professor Mahler ordered the UV lights operator to activate the UV lights, but Professor Radani asked the operator to stop. Mahler kept insisting, prompting Professor Radani to spill coffee over the control panel. This caused the UV lights to break down. Jotun freed himself from the chains, causing panic to break out in the Vimork facility. He violently flung a chain at the elevator where Nora was boarding. However, Nora narrowly survived the attack. The gigantic troll went berserk, crushing Professor Wangel under his giant foot. Everyone rushed out of the facility, only to see Jotun bursting out of it. Jotun stood tall and left on his way. Captain Chris arrived and led everyone to safety.
Nora Tiedemann. I should have known. Good to see you're not alone.
Home?
Prime Minister Brinchman held an emergency meeting with Nora and the others. He told the general that he didn't want to endanger the lives of his people and wanted the troll terminated immediately. Nora objected to the decision, but nothing changed. Captain Chris briefed his soldiers that they had tracked the troll but lost it in the fog. Nevertheless, they would find it again. Nora approached Chris and pleaded with him to take her along on the mission, but Chris turned down her request. Later, she managed to change his mind. Captain Chris showed her the military's new Sunna helicopter equipped with UV lights that would help them hunt Jotun. Siggy asked Andreas to return soon and reminded him that he was not Superman but Clark Kent. Afterward, Captain Chris and his soldiers boarded the Sunna helicopters and flew away to hunt the roaming troll. At the Himsidal ski resort, everyone was enjoying themselves at the ongoing party, but their celebration was soon crashed by Jotun when he ripped off the ceiling of the resort.
Shut up, bro.
The partying crowd began to run in a frenzy as soon as they saw the living gigantic troll. Jotun grabbed a man who was filming a video and swallowed him alive. Meanwhile, the Sunna helicopters appeared in the sky. Chris ordered the UV lights to be turned on at once, aiming them at Jotun. The troll was hurt by the harmful lights and became furious. He pulled out an electric pole and hurled it at one of the Sunna helicopters. Amir's helicopter was badly damaged and began to crash. Chris broke down upon seeing that his best friend was about to die. Amir bade farewell to Chris before his helicopter crashed. Jotun snarled at Chris's helicopter as if he was about to attack it as well, but then walked away instead. Nora said to Radani and Andreas, "This troll is acting differently and is more enraged. It is a monster because of man's doing." Then, Radani said, "I would say sorry to him when I see Jotun again." Suddenly, Andreas had a brilliant idea for communicating with Jotun. Nora insisted they couldn't do it themselves, but she claimed to know someone who could. Nora arrived at a restricted military area in the Dover Mountains with Captain Chris, Andreas, and Radani. They entered the cave only to find boulders and darkness inside. Elsewhere, a man was beautifying his house in the snowy mountains. He stepped out of the porch to take a look at it. The man's dog became agitated as he had sensed something approaching. Soon, Jotun arrived there, thumping on the ground. Nevertheless, Jotun walked away while destroying the man's house. Back in the cave, Nora revealed to the others that the cave once used to be a hunting pit where the trolls would get killed. According to the legend, Olaf wanted to get rid of the Troll King, so he kidnapped a troll child, hoping that the father would follow it here straight into a death trap. They carved Christian symbols into each spike to inflict more damage on the trolls. Unfortunately, the Troll King survived the trap and escaped 3 years ago. Nora said, "If the story is true, why were the remains of the captured troll baby not ever found?" After explaining the legend, Nora tapped a chip of stone onto the ground, and the sound echoed through the cave. Soon after, a troll woke up and appeared before Nora and the others. In truth, this was the same troll child which was once used as bait to capture the Troll King, but now he had fully grown up. Nora told them that she searched the cave dozens of times, but she couldn't find the troll child inside while he was watching her from the dark, as he had never felt safe. She introduced the troll to the others as the son of the Mountain King. Nora communicated with the troll, and to everyone's shock, the troll also responded to Nora. She then asked Andreas to communicate with the troll. Andreas repeated the process, concluding that this troll was kind and humble. Andreas asked Nora what they should call the troll, to which she replied she had been calling him beautiful.
I've been calling him beautiful, magical.
After that, Nora told Beautiful about the troublesome troll named Jotun, asking him to have a word with him on their behalf. In the snowy valley of Boverdalen, Nora stood alone and fired into the sky with a flare gun to grab Jotun's attention. Just as Jotun moved to Nora, Beautiful emerged from the thick sheets of snow. Beautiful tried to talk to Jotun on behalf of the humans, but the plan didn't work out. Jotun stomped on the snowy ground, causing it to crack immediately. Beautiful fell into the hole in the ice and drowned miserably. Captain Chris rushed to Nora to save her from the menacing troll. Just in time, they got on the helicopter, dodging the strike from the giant troll. Nora felt sorry for Beautiful as he died while fighting for them. Professor Rodani rolled out a map, trying to follow the tracks of the troll. She noticed and told Nora that Jotun was heading north to Trondheim, meaning Jotun was pilgrimaging northward. Nora then said that her father had talked about the Christianization of Norway and the troll massacre, and how Saint Olaf eradicated the trolls from the country forever. In those days, Nidaros used to be the capital. It was from there that Olaf ruled the country. Nora deduced that Jotun was vindictive and wanted revenge. Sometime later, Nora, Andreas, Radani, and Major Chris arrived in Trondheim and met Esther Johan. She brought them to Nidaros Cathedral, built approximately between 1070 and 1300. Esther told Nora that Olaf the Holy used to rule the country from this very church. Then Nora explained that they arrived there to find the tomb of Saint Olaf, as they thought the troll was about to come over there to get revenge on Saint Olaf. Esther took them to the lower part of the cathedral, where Olaf's tomb was said to be hidden. Nora and the others reached a room where they found Olaf the Holy's paintings on the wall. Esther said to Nora, she searched for Olaf's tomb in the room, but she failed to find it. Andreas approached the wall and broke the wall by mistake. He desperately tried to fix it in panic, but Esther stopped him and asked him to step aside. Esther spotted that the holes are the wounds where Olaf was stabbed by Torhun and his gang during the Battle of Stiklestad. First a chop in the thigh, then a spear in the belly, and the final blow in the neck. Nora took up a torch-like stick and inserted it into the first hole. Then she turned it and unlocked the first lock. In this way, they used all the sticks which were actually keys to the locks. With some effort, they managed to unlock the mysterious door. Nora and the others looked inside using the flashlight, and all they could find was Olaf's tomb with the holy water nearby. They curiously entered the door and removed the lid of the tomb, only to find Olaf the Holy's body inside, holding his silver sword in his hands. Esther and the others were shocked to see that Olaf's sword had not corroded after all these years. In addition, they discovered the remaining part of Olaf's law just next to the corpse of Olaf. Andreas sent it to his wife, who pieced it together with the remaining part of Olaf's law, and then she sent it back to them. Nora looked through the law and learned that Olaf actually didn't want to eliminate the trolls from his land, but wanted to give them a separate place to live in after moving to pity them, but the church had not liked Olaf's benevolence and killed him for being a hindrance in its path. Nora realized that Jotun didn't want to take revenge on Olaf, but on the people of his country. The news of Jotun on the loose spread like wildfire across the nation, leaving people disconcerted. The general told Major Chris that he had deployed forces to evacuate as many people as possible and told Chris to leave Trondheim at once. However, Nora and the others refused to abandon Trondheim, expressing their determination to save the city and its people. She explained that bullets and missiles were ineffective against Jotun, and church wells were not sufficient to contain him. Nora then consulted her journal, where she had written about how Olaf once eradicated the trolls. She learned that Olaf used his silver sword to defeat them. Rushing to the holy water, Nora dipped her knife into the pot, wetting it with the holy water. She then easily cut through the remains of a troll, which confirmed that Olaf had used holy water on his sword to finish the trolls off. Major Chris told Nora they didn't have enough water for the operation, but Esther suggested using the holy water stored inside the tomb. Chris and Radani then asked the troubled people for help, and everyone stood up for their nation. In Trondheim, the forces waited for Jotun to appear, ready to confront him. Soon, the vindictive Jotun arrived, intent on turning Trondheim to ashes.
Wait for my command.
Esther and Andreas, who were on bell duty, began ringing the bells. The tolling was unbearable to Jotun. Meanwhile, the forces opened fire from all sides, enraging him. Jotun uprooted a tree and hurled it at the cathedral, destroying the bell. As Jotun advanced toward the cathedral, unaware, he fell into a trap. A high tide of holy water washed over him, setting his body on fire. Although Jotun wasn't severely hurt and grew more furious, Major Chris ordered his soldiers to retreat straight away. Jotun heard a growling from the back, which prompted him to turn around. It was Beautiful, the Mountain King's son who had not died in the hole that day. Now he wanted to take revenge on Jotun. Soon, a brutal fight erupted between them. Jotun again gained the upper hand over Beautiful, crashing him through the bridge. Nora rushed to help Beautiful as Jotun was mercilessly killing him. Radani stopped her and told her that Jotun's insides were vulnerable. She explained that Jotun couldn't be killed from outside, but from inside, he was vulnerable. So she suggested that they must put water inside his body to kill him from within. Chris grabbed the last can full of holy water and a bomb tied around it, while Jotun was determined to kill the Mountain King's son, Beautiful, in the river. Nora fired at Jotun to stop him from killing her friend, but the rabid Jotun's body was immune to the bullets and other firearms. Chris and Andreas got on the helicopter to pull off the task. While saving the water tin from falling off the helicopter, Andreas lost the detonator. Chris then showed him a hand grenade and said that they had only this bomb, which had to be unpinned right before the bomb entered Jotun's mouth, meaning someone had to jump with the bomb and pull the pin on the way down. Andreas chose to sacrifice his life to save Beautiful and the country from Jotun's wrath. He talked to his wife Siggy one last time, but before he could ask her to tell their upcoming children that their father was a Superman, the signals got disturbed. Andreas held the can in his arms and jumped off the helicopter straight to Jotun's mouth. Just before he could enter his mouth, he unpinned the grenade and went into Jotun's mouth with it. Soon after, Jotun's body burst open due to the explosion inside his body. His body turned to stones in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, Beautiful got up and gave him a final blow from the back by crushing Jotun's heart. Although Nora and Chris managed to kill Jotun, they lost Andreas in the battle. Days later, Siggy gave birth to a baby girl whom she named Uhura as per Andreas' wish. Beautiful came to meet Nora before he left on his way to the Dover Mountains again.
A place to call.
At the end of the movie, Professor Mahler was seen talking to the general on the phone about a baby troll he managed to save during the chaos. He told the general that the troll baby had developed, but it should be given some time.